Good afternoon, folks. Welcome to the Meltdown. Now, the show's a little bit later, but there's been a lot going on today, and I really want to get into thanking a couple of people. And certainly at Christmas time, we thank the people that matter the most to us. And I really want to thank Michael and Kelly for their devotion to the assistance that they provide in the businesses. I want to thank several of the clients. Doug, thank you for all you do. I want to thank Dick and Tommy, and there are really some great people that I've been able to work with this year, and I really appreciate all you guys do for me. A little frustration because one of the things that I worry about in this economy is leverage. Sharing some of the figures that I do, realizing that the numbers are seriously leveraged. 100, 200 times value bothers me a great deal. Leverage can obviously be the kiss of death. Sometimes, if you're in the right side of the trade, it really is a good thing. One of the pieces that I heard this morning, I didn't even think about till this afternoon, was Carl Icahn, nearly 80 years old, put a trade in on Netflix, the streaming video company, about a year or so ago. His profit in the transaction was about $800 million. Now, he and Bill Ackerman went toe-to-toe over Herbalife earlier this calendar year. And when they were on TV, not in the same room, but on the same interview, neither of these guys has much love lost for the other. And then you start throwing in names like Paulson or Soros, and there's some really large investor groups. Folks, this economy is going to continue to function in a bubble. Now, one of the things that I was talking about earlier today after the show was the Kress cycle, Kress. And the Kress cycle, I want to thank a good friend, Gary, for sharing this and getting me on track, is that you're really looking at a large horn. It spreads tight in the earlier years, but now it's gotten broad. Well, the broadness is the manipulation in markets. And so when I've talked about the top of the stock market, somewhere in that 17 to 18,000 range, that's the near term. Now, the near term may be a year, it may be 3 years. And as I watch the manipulation in the gold market, Michael and I talked just before I came on, and we talked about the amount of tonnage that is reported through the World Gold Council as it relates to the National Forex Reserve. So in the case of the United States, we're talking a little over 8,100 tons. That represents 70% of our Forex reserve versus China or Japan that is pushing 1 and 2%. The Soviet Union doesn't even give us a number. And so all I'm really telling you is that in the event that the gold really does exist, we're at a 70% reserve figure where China's at a 1%. And that's a major, major number, because when you look at the amount of currency, the amount of GDP, the amount of whatever a government's going to report out there, it's always going to sound better than it probably is. It's part of the reason that Ron Paul tried to work an audit of Fort Knox, which, of course, the U.S. government indicates we have 8,133 tons, to the World Gold Council. Unfortunately, nobody's been down there since 1953 to confirm that. The only thing we all saw was a photograph of a couple of guys standing in front of a wall of gold. What we don't know is, are the 10 rooms or the 20 rooms, is Fort Knox got gold in it? What we do know is that when the German government asked the US and France to cough up the gold that they had stored, our response was, we need 7 years, which would indicate we don't have the gold. Bottom line, I talk to clients all the time that are heavily leveraged in gold, physical gold, real money. Now, it doesn't matter where you are in the world. If you need to barter in a local currency, gold is recognized everywhere. And so you look at the market at the moment, trading around $1,195 bid, and dealers want to work on a couple of percentage points. So now you're going to drop the number to about $1,175. Remember, there is a bid-ask spread. And so while the spread may only be a couple of dollars, the difference in what form you own your material in matters. And I'm looking at digital currency all the time. The debacle with Target last week and 40 million debit cards coming into jeopardy means that the banking system is wrought full of fraud, that numbers can be tossed around. The one thing that people run to is cash. And while it used to be that gold was considered an inflation hedge, it is now more a government hedge than anything. So what does all this really mean? It means that if we really are cooking the books, and we really are, Enron cooked the books, the country of Greece cooked the books to get into the European Union, everything's being cooked. Why do companies trade? Well, the dot-com crisis, that was 1,500 times anticipated earnings, which never materialized, which is why the dot-com was, quote, a bubble. Now, I look at the real estate market, and I understand that people have made a lot of money over time in real estate. My concern for that real estate is, where do we go from here? How liquid is it? Even in a quick claim situation, you're still going to deal with delays. Now, I find it very interesting that today was the deadline for Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act. And so an extra day has already been bought. No doubt, I'm going to guess, because the system is being overloaded as people are trying to get in place. The price of oil still hovering around $99, gold just under $1,200, but the yield on the 10-year Treasury is still rising. That means that we've got to all be concerned about what the market is going to dictate. And so I look at different problems, and I look at what's going on in China. I look at what's going on in Japan, Australia, Canada. I consider all of those things when I come on air and talk about rare coins and precious metals. Building complete sets of coins is a really simple task. The question becomes the quality of the coins. Now, I've got a set of Barber quarters and two sets of Barber dimes, a set of seated Liberty dimes. The coins as they're in place right now, all told, are going to run in the neighborhood of 11, 10, 5 to buy the 5 books as I've got them currently. The amount to finish those books, a couple of the books are fairly inexpensive, a couple of $1,000s. One of the books is $30,000. And one of those coins is an 1874 Carson City dime. And that coin in and of itself can range from about $11,000 to $15,000, which is a wide spread, I'll grant you, but you never know what's going to show up and in what quality. Now, that's a pretty low-grade coin. There were 4 Carson City dimes in the same era, basically, and the coins are going to run between $3,000 and $4,000 a piece. So here's a set that's going to take about 30 grand to finish. Most of it's tied up in just 4 pieces. Now, most collectors are going to pass on the 4 coins. And the client that has taken the position that's going to have physical delivery of the coins later this evening is getting started by moving a gold position. Now, ultimately, the trade is going to be at a basic balanced out transaction. He owns the gold at about $1,200. But the silver position is the one with the most upside. I'm looking at silver at $19.50 an ounce. And while it's trading in the spot market, that's the paper market, you've got to understand that an ounce of silver To own it physically runs from $22.50 to $24.50, depending on the form that you're buying it in. I love older Morgan silver dollars. I love barber coins. I love half dollars and quarters and dimes. These are some personal collectibles that I've had in my own collection that fortunately got left behind when Hurricane Cormier came through. Personal joke. But ultimately, it's the quality of the coins. And if we end up at $3,000 to $5,000 gold, the way has been guesstimated, I listened to some of the important guys. I like Ron Paul. I believe he's got a vested interest in gold. And so that may be slightly skewed, but Jim Rogers is not skewed. And Rogers believed about 5-6 months ago that we would see a test in the next 3 to 5 years at $3,000 to $5,000 an ounce. And the warehouses are low. It's part of the reason why you see JP Morgan Chase taking the positions. It's why silver coins are in such vogue right now. Now, it's difficult for a lot of people to spend tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars, let alone millions of dollars, on a silver coin. A 1 ounce, quote, a $1 coin has 0.773 ounces of silver in it. That's the old silver dollars, peace dollars, Morgan dollars, trade dollars, seeded dollars. Those are not 1 ounce coins. Today's 42.5 million silver eagles produced for 2013, compared to what was produced in 1996 when the mintage was under 4 million. We've increased by tenfold. And the price of silver, I remember in 1990 when it hit $3.27. So ballpark, we're looking at a 600% gain since 1990. Metals trade up and down, and there's great volatility. When you can talk about an octogenarian like Carl Icahn making 800 million in one position over a year's time, there are companies that will profit and lose money over time. But for me, I want to assemble collections. I mentioned the Mint State 68 and the Mint State 66 half deem struck 1792. Those are two of the 1,500 coins that were produced. They were the first coins struck by the United States Mint. The Archdiocese owned them. The Catholic Church here in the States, the Mint State 68 coin is phenomenal, and it's going to bring a huge number. And watching big money move into coins is one thing. Repositioning other assets to take advantage of potential appreciation is part of what this is all about. But the other side of it is the overall diversification of a portfolio. Yes, there's stock, and yes, there's real estate. Yes, there's art. Yes, there's all kinds of other options. I look at the play in rarity. Now, over the last 20 years, I remember selling 1991 half-ounce gold American Eagles in the $300 to $400 price range. I remember when they came out, and they were still a hard sell when we had to try to get people to spend $150 per coin, $175. People just didn't believe in gold when they were watching the dot-coms and the Dow just skyrocket. Well, today, those people are looking at 600% to 800% gains. And coins that I sold, I mentioned this earlier today, 1991 half-ounce gold Eagles, you can't buy them for much under $3,000. Dealers will pay $2,700 for them, $2,650. So I look at the 28 years that have been struck in half-ounce gold American Eagles. 14 of those coins, half of them trade at a premium. 8 of them are rare. So the other coins you can pretty much get into at any time you want. The bottom line is that people find gold and gold coins all the time. It's the leverage that you've got to maintain so that you're in the right positions and able to take advantage of rising markets. I cannot manipulate the gold market. Very few people can. GLD is hard enough. John Paulson, I reported, I guess 2, 3, 4 weeks ago, owns the equivalent of 10 million ounces of gold, but he doesn't hold one physical ounce. He owns lots of paper. And by the way, that's all digital paper. You look at your stock holdings and you can take a look at what your portfolio, your stocks, or your CDs are worth. It's all digital currency. You're looking at a computer screen. I looked at a bill today. To get the paper copy of my bill cost me $1.99 a month. Doesn't seem like a lot of money, but if you got 10 or 20 of those bills, they start to mount up and you start to pay more money for everything. My point in going into this whole line is that diversification makes sense. The reality is, does your broker deal in the market? Or is he going to try and recommend something that makes him money and not necessarily protects you? Now, there are all kinds of coins out there. Basically, there's either business strikes, which are coins that are struck one right after the other, or they're proof coins, which means they've got a mirrored background. Now, 1792 half deems were struck on hand presses. They had to be screwed down. That's how the pressure was applied. So we're not talking about the greatest strikes in the world, but reality is that there are coins that if you own a proof St. Gaudens gold piece in proof 65, there's a bidder for that coin somewhere between 70 and 80,000. The coins may sell for double that price, but there's somebody out there willing to buy it. The fact that it may not cover what you think the fair market spread should be is the same situation you find yourself in when you own a home and your home is worth $200,000 and you need to fire sale it and someone offers $100,000. Well, if you need the money bad enough, it's worth $100,000. But if you've got the 30 to 45 to 60 days to close on it and go through the title search and do everything you're supposed to, you'll get closer to what you really want for it. Reality is that when someone's out trying to take advantage of a situation, they'll do whatever they have to do to fire sale and mislead you or misinterpret the information, not guide you properly. Folks, there's all kinds of deceit out there. And so NGC and PCGS authenticate and grade coins, currency, and other collectibles. Earlier today I had an authentic Babe Ruth Gowdy 1933 baseball card in here. Now, the card itself looks like it had been stained, well, it was stained, and probably wet. And you could see what looked like a tear, but was actually a fold over, probably from the moisture. What is that card worth? You know, it's probably got to be authenticated and graded, which is what the representation was that I gave to the gentleman who came into the store with it. Reality? There's one selling online that's been authenticated and graded, and the person who owns it wants about $3,500 for this specific item I looked at. Now, ultimately, I think the card that I saw is probably worth between $1,000 and $1,500. I don't know that it's going to grade 3 on the scale of 1 to 10, but that's a ballpark figure. The gentleman said someone had offered him $1,500. I told him he should make the drive and go take a look at it. Now, I love collectibles, and I love really neat kinds of different collectibles, whether it's rare coins or a Civil War ball and chain or an authentic bag from the Carson City Mint when silver dollars were being struck. There's a lot of cool things out there. It requires the right person at the right time to just establish what the value is. So when it comes down to coins, new coins or old coins, whether they're half dollars that were struck from 1892 to 1954, commemorating an event or statehood, whether they're modern commemoratives, whether they're clad or whether they're silver or whether they're gold. There's so many options out there. I try to report and talk about the information that will prove fruitful to you as you amass a collection as you start trying to figure out what direction you want to go in and what you've got to work with. All of those factors matter. Now, if you want to talk to me about things, you can call the store. That's 281-548-2646. It's 281-548-COIN. Toll free 877-705-COIN. That's 2646. Hit option 0. That way you don't get caught in the phone system. Now, we're going to be off tomorrow, and of course, Wednesday is Christmas Day. We'll be back on Thursday. And ultimately, if you've got questions, and maybe you're listening to the show in the evenings, for a few years I did radio. Now we do podcasts. I'll probably come by tomorrow and throw one up to the cyber gods, and hope Michael wants to take a few minutes and log in. But folks, this is that time where you strategize, where you get information and decipher it, talk, learn, ask questions. You can email me anytime. That's Brett, B-R-E-T-T, at thegoldexchange.net. Now, I will be checking on email, and of course, I love what I do, and so that's part of this. There are times that you want to be in the market and other times that you don't. This is the time where I want to see clients amassing rare coins. And whether those coins are trading at a 10% premium or 1,000% premium over their melt value, that doesn't mean that the markup is excessive. It just means the premium you pay over its intrinsic melt value is the premium. I love selling $75 circulated Carson City silver dollars. Look in the sheets, all of them are worth 90 bucks in any quality. But when I sell them and I can sell them for 75 bucks, I want to be in that spot. I want to do that. So this is that time where you accumulate books and you put together sets and you get your kids involved. And whether it's pennies or whether it's silver dollars or commemorative coins or it's gold, doesn't really matter. What does matter is taking the time to build a portfolio and understanding the ins and the outs and the do's and the don'ts. Anyway, I don't ever want to get off air without thanking Texas Children's Hospital. That's the Downs Clinic and the Ronald McDonald House. Now, these are the foundations that are closest to me because of my son Jason and a situation that we found ourselves in 2011. Ultimately, the Downs Clinic, my son Jason has mild Downs, so I support the Downs Clinic. Dr. Ostermeyer at the Myers Center and her staff are fabulous people. They see Jason annually. At the Ronald McDonald House, at Texas Children's, and they're throughout the country and throughout the world. Whether it's in the hospital, 20 rooms on the 4th floor at Texas Children's, there's a 50-room facility outside of the hospital. But these people take care of our kids and our families. If you can offer a tithe or a donation, please go to themeltdown.com, click on the banners, make your donation. The information is private. You'll get a receipt for your donation. If you can provide a hot meal, particularly at this time of the year, please call 832-824-8600. It's 832-824-8600. I appreciate the doctors, nurses, the staff, and of course the volunteers. Now, folks, I got to tell you one last thing. In 2011, when Jason was born, my insurance was fabulous, and I had met my deductible. For the nurses and the staff that took care of Jason and all the children on that floor, it was pediatric ICU, I took care of all of the staff. It was a real blessing. The entire staff, both shifts. It cost about $1,000. If you've got $1,000 and you can feed these people, they are absolutely undaunted and love these kids. And while it's a job for them, us looking in, the passion and the compassion that they share with our children is amazing. Anyway, thank you for your thoughts and your kindness and your donation. We'll be taking off a couple of days, but if you've got any questions, feel free to call, leave a message, or send me an email, and I'll be more than happy to respond. Enjoy the time with your families. God bless you all. We'll be back tomorrow. Have a great day, and God bless you.